So we got shoulders and tries today. It's gonna be solid today. So if you do not have shoulders within your split or routine because you think they get hit enough from either your push day or your pull day from doing other movements, you need to put shoulders into your routine. There is no way that I'll use a incline dumbbell press for an example. There's no way that you hit enough of your front delt from doing incline dumbbell press, and there's no way that you hit your rear delt enough from doing like a T-bar row. If you want something to grow, you have to hit it directly, just like any other muscle. That's like saying I don't hit triceps because anytime I bench, my triceps get hit. Now look, if you're doing close grip bench, that's a little different, but even then, you need to hit the muscle directly. Same goes for like abs. I might as well keep with the tangent. Same with abs. Now, I hit abs every other day. You may do different, but if you want abs, sure, they're made in the kitchen. They're also made in the gym, just like any other muscle. And you have to train them the same way you train anything else. You do whatever, 3 or 4 sets of however many you can do, and you can just hit them more frequently because abs are a smaller muscle. They will recover quicker, and you can hit them more continuously. Some people hit them every day. I found my abs feel like they're gonna fall off if I do it daily. So every other day seems good enough for me. Hit them 3 sets hard, and that was the end of that tangent of hitting both shoulders and abs. Like, hit it directly. Like, I'm doing what, 4 exercises, separate exercises for shoulders today, and I guess I'll let you guys in on a little secret of, it's not a secret, but of why some people don't hit shoulders, and in certain scenarios of like why it's more justified. And I'll use Mr. Solik as an example, not to call him out, but with all due respect. So he has, I don't know if he still does this, I just remember this from like a couple years ago. He would do chest, back, arms, legs, and then repeat, and he wouldn't hit shoulders because his shoulders are fucking massive. But the reason he doesn't hit shoulders, and in addition to them being massive, obviously worked out for a long time, when you take test, like the way the receptors work of the molecule within your body and the way it binds and helps build muscle, there's way more of they're called androgen receptors. There's way more of them in where they stay in your body, in your shoulders and in your quads. So for some people, when they take it, their shoulders, because they have so many receptors in there for when they take tests for it to bind to, it will make their shoulders huge. Same goes for quads. Some people will get huge quads. In addition to already being big. Like, this is like quads plus. That is why, and why that scenario is not hitting shoulders. And that's already from them hitting shoulders for years and years, and then test, and then not hitting shoulders. Like, there was a long sequence before they ever got to that point, and they earned not hitting shoulders. And like, you'll see it usually, now not always, but usually when you see shoulders that are like capped, like large and capped, not every single time, but it's pretty common when you see that they're capped is from test. And I mean, your quads don't get capped, but same applies there. If you have larger quads, it may or may not be. Like, look, there's genetic freaks out there. I'm just talking in general. So yeah, that's my little tangent on hitting shoulders, and why you're probably, including myself, which I'll hit today, why you're not in a position to neglect shoulders or any other muscle group. People only get to neglect a certain muscle group once they get to that point and get big enough to say that. But we ain't big enough. I'm talking you and me. We ain't big enough. So we hit everything. So I don't really hit forearms directly. I think that's the only muscle I really don't hit directly. If you do your back day without straps, which I'm not going to go into a whole tangent about lifting with straps or without straps. I'm going to leave it at that. But if you lift without straps on your back day, your forearms get pumped to hell. Like mine do for sure. And I've never had an issue with my forearms growing from just as hypocritical as me saying it. If you want something to grow, I say hit it directly, but it's tough comparing forearms to shoulders. Those are two completely different muscles we're talking about. So yeah, forearms, I just hit it directly. And other than that, like everything else gets hit, and also with a good amount of volume. I don't know why the whole like science thing is like 2 sets. I'm gonna go on a tangent on about why the whole science-based part of it. Now, a lot of it's good, but some of it where it's like I do 2 sets of one muscle group once a week and hit it 5 RIR. Like, dude, it gets to a point where you're not doing anything at all, and which leads me to another point. There's some issues with this. Is coming from somebody that is graduating with a biochemistry degree and who's gone through labs and through science, understands the whole medical terminology, not medical, but physiology terminology, and understands how these tests are run and data's collected. As much as you can make a controlled trial controlled, there is always going to be stuff out of your control. Let me give you an example. If you are testing the response of, let's say, 100 beginner lifters in New York City in response to 2 sets per muscle group per week, and the results showed you had one that did 2 sets, one that did 4 sets. The results showed that, oh wow, the person that did 2 sets had actually more muscle growth over the span of 8 weeks. And then you say, oh, they had the same diet, same sleep and everything. And well, how do you know that every single person there got the same quality of sleep, the same less stress levels between their lives? Like, what if everyone in group 2 just is unemployed and enjoys their life doing whatever? And what if half the people in group 4 do that, or have either maybe they're in college or something, have an exam the next day, and it raises their cortisol, and the cortisol affects them to not grow as much muscle? What if half the group in New York City was born around 2000 to 2003, and the carbon dioxide levels within their population were high enough to alter like gene 5 within their genetic code and affected how they synthesize on a small percentage? Like, how the fuck are you going to track that? You're not going to be able to track that. So within these trials, yes, you can get very good general data, but there's no, like, with humans, there's no way in hell you can make it perfect. You can only get super close, but it's for sure not going to be perfect. Like, rats kind of, but then once you do it with rats, like you're comparing rats to humans, there's a disconnect. That's comparing oranges to apples. Like, bro. So that's why I'd say the best way you can actually look at it is looking at the people that have succeeded in it and seeing a trend within the people that have done it. So you look at enough people that have succeeded without any other variables, but not with any variables, with what they have done, their way to get to the top. It will give you a better direction of what actually you need to do to get to your goal, and not try and science your way out of not training hard. I gotta think that's part of it as well, is because either one, which I experienced, is you're a couple years in and you feel like you should have a physique that's like the one you want already, which, as tough as it is, it takes years. It's a lifetime commitment. And number two, I think, is just trying to find like a shortcut to the work that it takes to get a good physique. Which is why they're respected. Like, it's not easy. If everyone had six-pack and big muscles, like, if you had them, nobody would give a shit. Now I'm saying, like, I don't look at somebody and care even when they have muscles, but maybe I do. I'll lie. I think it's pretty cool. But for someone looking at me, they're like, why would you care that I have it? You know what I mean? You're picking up what I'm putting down. And I'll call it that. I'm at the gym now. And let's go crank out some shoulders and tries. Let's get it. Alright. Okay. So starting off, I'll do honestly any type of lateral raise before I get into pressing, just to get a pump in my shoulders to start, and everything else is a lot easier to hit my shoulders directly. One thing I learned when doing these, if you have a tough time hitting your shoulders when doing lateral raises, if you think about driving your feet into the ground each time you go up, like instead of thinking, oh, I'm bringing my hands higher, you think of, I'm trying to put my feet through the ground as hard as I can. The only way I can do it is by like moving my arms this way. You'll feel it way more in your shoulders. That's one thing I learned. It applies honestly for all movements. Like if you're thinking about doing like a T-bar row, instead of thinking about pulling your arm back, if you think of trying to push your chest into the pad as hard as you can by going like this, you will feel it so much more the muscle you're actually trying to hit, and it makes a huge difference. And, I got to make sure I actually apply doing that right now. Sometimes I say it and I don't even do it. So I'll make sure I do it. I'm trying to get at least 8, so I'll drop the weight a little bit.
Start hanging around you, you're like, good luck all that stuff. You're young like that. Ride the wave as long as you can. Okay.
So, if you don't get as many reps as you want on a certain weight, how much weight should you drop it before your next set? The answer is honestly depends. Like, if you're doing a pressing movement, chances you're gonna be able to get the same amount of reps or not more if you drop it by like 5 or 10 pounds, probably a good chance. But if you're doing like, honestly, bicep curls or something, you drop it 10 pounds to be able to get your next set enough reps, I mean, you're probably gonna get like 30. So it's more of, I guess I should sum this in with, does it matter how many reps you get in your next set? Honestly, it doesn't matter. The whole point of trying to get it between like 6 and 12 reps, it's gonna do the same. Like if you get 6 reps, it's gonna do the exact same if you hit failure on 12. So as long as you can get somewhere in between there for all your sets, it's not going to make much of a difference. So if you hit 6 reps, or if you're trying to get at least 8 and you hit like 8 reps, if you drop it anywhere between 10 to like 20 pounds, there's going to be no difference between if you drop it 10 pounds and if you drop it 15 or 20 pounds. As long as you're just getting more and keeping it within the range, it's all going to get you to the same result. So that's why when I dropped this, I did like 10 pounds on each side. Because like, I'll probably get anywhere between 8 and 12 now. In fact, I was able to drop it 10 pounds after only getting like 8. I'll do that for like every exercise that I don't get as much as I want. It usually ends up being like the 3rd or 4th set. And yeah, I guess that's it. It usually be like the 3rd or 4th set. Alright, let's get it.
I haven't seen anybody, so I don't know. My opinion, I think it's yours.
Hey man, how'd the day go?
Good. Yeah, I went to Bar Tulia, Chicago. That was nice. And then, yeah. Yes, it was nice. She left. She went Saturday to Charlotte to go visit her sister. And then she comes back Saturday night. I think I'm gonna pick her up from here Saturday night. Yeah, well, they're driving through Charlotte, and then they're getting in the car going up to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, to the Smoky Mountains. Yeah, it's gorgeous up there. So they got a cabin for the week. Yeah, dude. I didn't fuck it up.
Good design.
Didn't fuck it up. Yeah, I know. I think he's probably talking about it. Yeah. Well. Yeah. She's just like, you know, she's like, what do you like to do? I'm like, I play golf. That's fine. It's just so crazy to say, you know, just you know what I mean? Things the same, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, we started following, you know. Yeah. She sent me songs on Spotify.
Drop it again.
No, it's just a buddy of mine.
What are we up? 21-6 in the fourth quarter?
Yeah.
Nice. And we let them crawl back in, and all of a sudden it was a one-score game, right?
Waiting on
16 or something like that.
and then it was they scored, Vikings scored, and then I figured we were just gonna fuck it up. And then it's third and 8 or whatever it was, and then he throws the bomb, and I just sat there and I go, mother of God. And then when it was completed, I'm like, oh, well, the game is over, you know. But
You sounded like on Saturday afternoon.
yeah, Ole Miss.
Fuck.
That was a game I watched.
God damn it.
You guys ever Michigan State game, right?
Did they play?
I don't know, but I bet on.
Indiana.
That's it. And it was 26 and a half, the spread.
Spread?
It was 28, so I was winning. It was the last one where like the legs about half.
Yeah.
13 seconds left. And Michigan State kicks a field goal to make it 25. And I just sat there and I go, I've never seen this before in my entire life. Who kicks a field goal when you're losing?
Alright. So if you're trying to hit your rear delts more, you're trying to actually feel them when you hit them. What I found is if you throw in lateral raises and you go back and forth between the two, you can feel it in your rear delt way more because it's already hit. Whatever. Best case, you found one like these, you can take the cables on both sides like I'm gonna do, or you got it set like this, bring both the cables up, and then like rear delt fly like that. Like just go straight into it, because then you'll actually feel it way more in your shoulder. And instead of throwing every single thing in your back, like swinging it, because you hit the lateral raises first. Yeah, just screw them.
concerned about how many reps I got in each of these sets because it's a superset going straight into it. Honestly, from doing just one exercise right into the other one, you're getting so much from so much time and attention from doing a superset that it's honestly doesn't matter if I get like 6 reps on doing lateral raises and then like 6 reps on doing the rear delt fly, because the whole thing is like 12 reps, so you're getting plenty for doing that. Also, if you do like a superset with like a pressing movement with like a lateral raise, same applies there. Like I wouldn't mind going heavier on a shoulder press, only getting like 6 reps or 4 sets if I'm going straight into like lateral raises after it, because then you're getting both pushing heavy weight and then time and attention. It's like the best of both worlds. But honestly, I try to only do the superset just when I'm not hitting shoulders that day. Honestly, it doesn't matter. You can do it either way. I can do a superset of like shoulder press and then do lateral raises and then go into rear delt fly now. I just found this, I enjoy this more. Like, you're really not going to see much difference between the two. If your shoulders aren't like fully pumped at the end of your workout, it's either A, you're cutting, B, your sets aren't long enough, or C, you should be doing more sets. Honestly, that should go for any muscle group that you're doing, especially when you're bulking. Cutting, you're really not going to get built out, but every workout should be also, yeah, lift heavy weight, but if it isn't fully pumped, you're not going to get as much out of it as you want. Because how do you expect? I'll put it this way. When you're looking at your physique after getting a pump, that's eventually what you're chasing when like you wake up in the morning. You can't get to that if you're not looking at that after each of your workouts. Because eventually over time that'll, I'm going to retrace to say this right. I'll put it in two different lanes of how it is. There's a different feeling you get from when you do leg press with like 10 plates on each side and you get 4 reps. you're sure as hell feeling your legs, but there's a completely different feeling when you do, let's say, 4 plates with 15 to 20 reps on leg press. Like it feels like your leg is going to fall off how underburned it is. So there's 2 different things you're going for. I think a lot of people neglect either 1, not pushing hard enough, or 2, not pushing long enough on a certain set or on a set. So it's a balancing act of both, pretty much.
Ahí está, ya se quitó. Ya se le
And my coach was like, well, when I trained with him at home, it was like once a week, and that's kind of what I learned from him was, at least specifically for how I was lifting, like, he's all for controlled and everything, to an extent. Like, I mean,
Yeah, I know.
you can control, but like, yeah.
If you're like,
You were going like that?
Yeah, dude. Like, he's all for it, but
I think it's just as you get more controlled, it's harder to find failure because it's like, at what point does it just hurt so bad that you can't push? And like, there's a difference between like mechanical failure and like your muscles are so damn fatigued.
yeah, that was the one thing he kind of pointed out to me when I worked with him. Like, dude, he showed me a bunch of shit, dude. I mean, eventually, after, I'm sure you're gonna get a different coach eventually, but dude, the amount of shit you can learn is insane. Like, half the things that I'm teaching you are like from him.
Yeah. I want to learn.
Si no quieres donadas, porque no sé qué van a hacer unos.
Oh shit.
Alright, just text
What?
me. There. Just school shit, bro. I didn't do some shit I needed to do.
It's chill.
What are you gonna be on? Yeah, but remember it's not talk about it. Did they get that? I'll tell you. Well, I only, I'm pretty sure. Well, I don't know if we had. I don't even know who either.
I didn't know Nick T was.
Bro. No.
That exercise. Yeah, I'm gonna try that exercise out. I was gonna do triceps. And after that, I'm gonna do a shoulder workout. And I shouldn't give it away. Come
Oh, you're good, man. No worries.
What song are you listening to? By who? Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, I know exactly. I'm on Ox, baby. Oh, yeah? Yeah.
I know I went mute second half of the workout, but shit, dude, it's Monday, 5 o'clock. Do I have to say any more? I think you know, bro. I mean, shoot, it was 10 minutes waiting for each machine. You saw how much I did. Like, that was not a 2 exercise lift. So you do that, plus 10 minutes each of them. I got in there at 5 p.m. I'm leaving now at 7:20. Like, damn. It's all good, though. It's always nice, Monday at that time, is because I know that almost every person I know in that gym is there at that time. And, it's good talking. Part of that, there's pros and cons. Pros, I get to enjoy talking to my friends in there at that time. Between sets, shooting the shit. And con is waiting 10 minutes for each machine. When I did what? Dude, like 8 machines today? Bro. Or maybe not 10 minutes, but some of them got up to 10 minutes. Like, bro. That's how it be. But solid lift. I gotta think about what the hell I was talking about before I went mute, dude. Tell me, what the fuck was I doing? My fault. Sometimes you just gotta crank it out, dude. You guys let me know. What the hell do you guys want me to talk about? Sometimes I'd be running out of shit to say. Everything I say is out of trying to help you get to basically everything I tell you is the stuff that I wish I knew earlier when I started working out, and made a tremendous difference in what I do. And especially the stuff I said about the 2 different types of workouts. Like one's getting a pump and the fully pumping. That sounded sus. Getting a full pump in your muscles, and the other one's actually moving some weight around, of having a mix of both. Because I've been on both sides of that spectrum. One time, I used to be full, everything super heavy weight, minimize fatigue with 4 reps. And I've also been on the other side of it where I'm doing everything super lightweight, trying to get like 12 to 15 reps. So it's like, you gotta find the sweet spot between the two. A little bit of both. Salt and pepper. And yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything that you question about what I did. You saw that I kind of hit each muscle directly before I went into like a compound for it. So like shoulders, you saw I did lateral raises before I did the rest of my shoulder exercises. Chest, you saw I did pec fly before I did the rest of chest. Triceps, I mean, like, it's kind of I mean, unless you're doing close grip bench, I'm kind of just only hitting triceps like you saw. And yeah, I think one of the biggest things that held me back from really seeing true growth was understanding how you train your, like, this is coming out of left field, how you train metabolism, and that's how you actually manipulate your body into what you want it to look like. And I think that's a tough thing, not tough, but I think that's a pretty common unknown thing. Like, if you're tracking calories and all you did was use like a TDEE calculator, like a total daily energy expenditure calculator, if you know what that is, but basically predicts based off data what your total, how many calories you burn in a day, so you can kind of guess how many is your maintenance and like shooting above it. And I used to think that was just like set in stone, and like, this is the number, this is what I got to do. And if I'm not gaining weight, it's because I'm not training hard enough or something else. But it really is how your metabolism is trained. So let me put it this way, or let me use myself as an example. At the end of my bulk, before I went into prep and competed, I was at 52 or 5,300 calories a day, which it might even be a little more, but I was any other, like, literally the last week of my prep was incomparable to how much of a pain in the ass my peak bulk was. But the point I'm trying to make is I wasn't even gaining weight when I was at 5,200 calories. Meaning, if I am not gaining weight at 5,200, my metabolism isn't 3,500, it's not 5,700. My metabolism, I'm burning 5,200 a day. So my total daily energy expenditure was at 5,200 calories a day. Meaning that, like, you don't just get to that without training your metabolism to adapt to the amount you feed it. So I think one of the biggest parts of truly having a good bulk and cut, just back and forth, is training it to be set up for your next phase, because they both set each other up in one way. Your bulk, you bring your calories up slowly and slowly as your metabolism catches up slowly and slowly, and by the time you're damn sick of eating, isn't it real nice if you can just be at 5,200 and you drop your calories to about like 4,500 and you're losing weight? I was losing weight eating 40 700 calories a day. I was dropping like a pound or two a week. I think it was like 2 pounds a week consistently. And I was eating 4,700 calories a day. Now, most people won't believe that you can do that. And I was so full for the first half of my prep because of training your metabolism. And that's how they work very well into each other. The way I was able to push a bulk to literally peak before I got into a prep made it so smooth. And I think people miss that a lot when they try to prep, is they just impulsively start when there's more than 16 weeks that goes into it if you truly want to do it well. Now, I think if you're taking the time to prep down for a show, I think you want to do it right. So, and then the same goes for after your prep to back to bulking, is you got your calories down to, I mean, shit, mine was still pretty high at the end of my prep. I was at like 33,000 a day. Now that's not the usual, but point being made is I'm pretty good at burning calories, I guess. Your body gets primed to start your bulk again, because now I was at 33K a day. I bump it up to 3,500, and now I'm gaining weight at 3,500. See how it works? And I got so much time to go from 3,500 gradually up to like 5,200 or more, depending on how my body's responding. But that's how much time I got to bulk. So I emphasize taking it slow both ways, because your body will be better responsive to what you give it. You get what I mean? Maybe you don't. Sorry, dude. The 2.5 workout is fucking getting to me. They play into each other, as you saw, or as I just explained. And that's what I was trying to say. The ratio of how your body uses, or body will put on muscle to fat when you do it slowly, is in your favor both ways. So like if you are gaining a pound a week, this is just hypothetical, the muscle to fat ratio may be like 4 to 1, like 4 ounces of muscle to 1 ounce of fat. But if you gain like 3 pounds a week, you might gain a 4 to 3 ratio. So you'd be like 4 ounces of muscle to 3 ounces of fat. But you'd be like, well, Devin, if I'm gaining 3 pounds and 4 out of 7 of that is muscle, isn't that more muscle than 4 to 1? You would be correct. But you're going to have to take the time to cut the fat off. And the amount of time it's going to take you to cut the fat from pushing it faster is going to take you longer than just if you took it slower and put less fat on from your bulk. And also your body's going to be happier and respond better. Your bulk's going to get cut short from doing that. You're not going to be able to put on as much muscle over a period of time because it gets cut short. And then you got to take the time to take it off. So it's a double L. So yeah, that's how it'll be. And then for cutting, I mean, taking it slower is the same. Just flip the numbers. Like the amount of fat you lose is way more than the amount of muscle you lose. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. So, all right, I think that was a solid little lecture. I don't like lecture, but I think that was a solid talk, explaining more of some things that I wish I knew a little earlier when making progression in my physique, because that's big. That if you are able to execute on that well, this will be the biggest changes you ever see in your physique, the biggest. So, right, I'm gonna call it there. Appreciate y'all watching. I'll say this now because looking into the future, at the moment of me making these videos, I get about 6 views. So I appreciate it if you're one of those 6 people. And hopefully by the time you're seeing this, the video has like 50K views or some shit, and then you're seeing it like 4 years later, and it's like hopefully you see the amount of time and effort I put in making these videos to help you guys out. Hopefully you get to see how big Anabolic has gotten. So, all right, peace out.